Hi, this is Andrea. I am the mother to a beautiful autistic daughter, and I believe in a better future for her and all other neurodivergent young people. So I hope this is not your first time listening, but if it is, I'm also one of the many parent advocates for neurodiversity in Oxfordshire, UK. Being an advocate allows me to use my voice for my daughter, for other parents, for neurodivergent individuals themselves, and for professionals. Welcome to Season 2 of the Neurodiverse Voices podcast.
Hi everyone, so I'm back at Gosford All Blacks with someone I know for about 6 years and we recently reconnected because we are both supporting both children and parents of children with special educational needs. Hi Darren.
Hi Andrea, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Thank you very much for having me again, and I would like to say thank you for having me during the KTPL Festival of Rugby, which was a great experience to get to know so many wonderful people and hear all about rugby and how it supports children with special educational needs.
Yeah, it was a really magical day of the festival. I'm not too sure how we got there, but we managed to get there, and I think everybody had a really good day, which is, what we were trying to do, give the opportunity to as many people as possible and let them enjoy themselves.
Yeah, that was great. So Darren, can you tell me how you got to this stage of your journey with supporting children with neurodivergence and also children with disabilities, and how did rugby, all of this came together?
I suppose the real background is I'm a type 1 diabetic from the age of 11, and I suppose you could call that a hidden disability in some regards. And as a teenager, there were always countless things that, even with the diabetes, you were effectively told that you shouldn't do or you can't take part in, which is always a little bit frustrating. I was very lucky. I had two great parents where, I was given those opportunities, and that if I wanted to try something, then take that opportunity and go out and try it. So that background, I suppose, is a wee bit more focused on trying to make sure that we provided the impact that we could. And it started for me very, very simply. We had a young chap with autism, who is autistic, and he can't play age grade rugby any longer. It's not safe for him. He's about 14, 15 years old now. But he's very invested in his rugby, loves coming down to Gosford All Blacks and seeing the seniors play on a Saturday. So we were down one Saturday afternoon, he was enjoying his rugby, and he turned around and he just asked a very simple question that any other child could have asked, which was, when can I play rugby?
Of course.
And you sort of think to yourself, wow, that's such a simple question, and it's not one I can answer. Why can't we? Why can't we offer that opportunity to to take part here? Here's somebody that wants to play. Why should we stop them from having that opportunity? So I was very lucky. The directors board at this club were extremely open and supportive to the idea, and then we did the same thing that probably everybody else does. We worried about, how do we make it perfect? How do we make sure we tick all the boxes with regards to making sure we provide something that is inclusive and safe, and we cover all those things.
Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference.
And I got to speak to some marvellous people at the start of that journey. People like John Peel at Wallingford Wolves, who had set up 2 years previously.
Who I had the chance to meet as well.
Yeah, I think we're firm friends for life now. But John made a very simple observation. He said, don't wait for it to be perfect. Get started and learn from experience, and it'll grow from there. And he was right. We started with maybe 3 or 4 kids the first week. We have regularly 15 to 20 plus kids on a Sunday now. And I think your broadcast from the festival, what was really impactful about that as well was having had the opportunity to interview people outside, you could hear the enjoyment and the laughter of the children in the background playing rugby, just taking part. So, I think that really hit home as well, just
Yeah.
what a marvellous day it was. So we do that every Sunday. It's all about fun and enjoyment. And that's where it started, fun and enjoyment. But we very quickly realised that there was a much larger impact. The kids forming relationships with the other players and bonding. The fact that they were in a safe space, a free space where they had other trusted adults that they felt that they could engage with and take part in the games. And then you start to speak to the parents and you hear about just the lack of provision and the access to have these opportunities, which, I can't imagine my children being told that they can't play rugby or they can't play football, and you certainly don't struggle and in your typical area to find a rugby club or to find a football club or a sport that you can take your children to.
Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference.
So it shouldn't be any different for anybody else.
I do relate with that because my daughter, for example, a few things that she likes, like dancing or music, where I could take her, I cannot, because there's nothing at the moment offering that. So as you say, even though it's rugby, which is not something she's into, whenever we come here, she still has her fun, and she feels part of something, and she bonds with, not so much with other children, but at least with you she did, with that muddy puddles jumping Sunday. I
was about to say the same thing. It's not just about the rugby. It's with Melody, it was jumping in puddles. And I think I remember the shock on your face when she took my hands just to jump in the puddle. And that's what it's all about. It's just about the engagement and the opportunity to let them be themselves.
Yeah.
And let them grow, let them try something different. We have one young lady who, when she started, was non-vocal. And over time now, goodness, the lungs on that little girl when she decides to shout is great. Can we put that down to her coming to rugby? No, not at all. But it certainly hasn't, it certainly helped in that journey. It's given her a safe space, people that she's invested with, and she wants to use her voice. So I suppose that's a great way to put it, whether, if we can let the children have their own voice, and sometimes they tell us what games they want to play. We get led by what is going to engage them, and we make it fun, but we also have a focus with regards to whether that is helping them with their physical movement, them joining in a team sport and getting a bit more involved with the other children around them. Or sometimes it's as simple as jumping in a muddy puddle, or running about with a pool noodle, and swinging it at the coaches. I think Kev has been hit by more pool noodles in the last 6 months than anybody else nationwide. But there we go.
Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference.
Yeah, and it seems that the self-directed learning works pretty well with neurodivergence, so that's great. Thank you so much for sharing more in more detail about the SANT rugby sessions on Sunday. I also heard that you had a bit of a busy week, and there is some good news with some awards. So the Honda Volunteer Recognition Awards took place this week, and you have something to tell us about it.
Oh no, okay. Well, I think as a club we did really well. I'm really proud. We had, as a club, 14 nominations from the club. They're a England countrywide volunteer recognition award. So it's a great opportunity for everybody. I mean, as a club, everybody is a volunteer. There's no paid roles, so the time that people put in, it's their time. It's their investment in wanting to make a difference.
Support.
Yeah. So it's great for them to have that opportunity to be recognised. This year, I think simply down to the impact of this end rugby and what we've been trying to do, that was recognised. So that that did get recognised. Out of the 2,000 nominations countrywide, I now have the opportunity to represent Oxfordshire at the National Awards at Twickenham, which I think is in September.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Don't be humble. It's really good.
No, there's, it's not me. There's so many people involved. You can't be an island. And I think what we've learned over the last 12 months is that there are so many other people trying to do something similar. Being able to work and build those relationships and work together, it's just much more impactful, and it's much easier and supportive to do things together. And it's much more fun as well, right?
Yeah, there's that cliche saying, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much, and that's very true.
Yes, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, I think it's still, you should feel proud of yourself because you are representing the volunteering community and Gosford All Blacks, so well done.
Thank you.
Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference.
Thank you.
Right, so in the SEND sessions on Sunday, for example, and I think we touched base on this before, but how much do you learn with these children? What do you feel like they teach you the most? Or how do they change your own perspective of the perception of the world?
Perception of the world definitely changed. I think, as you know, it's like when you become a parent for the first time, your perception of the world changes.
Yes.
There are certainly movies now that I have kids that I could not watch today because that I would have watched before I had kids. But I think from a perspective of it's patience, it's kindness, and it's taking that deep breath to step back and listen to people. Do we always get it right? No, nobody's perfect, but I think we do. It does change you where you become a wee bit more aware that the way people react in any given situation, there's an emotional reason behind that.
Yeah.
So it's trying to understand and have the patience and the kindness and respect to support people, whether that be neurodiverse or whether that be neurotypical. And I think that makes a big difference with regards to how we see the world. And also just the ability, I think, to what the kids show us really, really well is just the excitement in everyday things, which as an adult I think we lose.
We lose with
that
time,
excitement
don't we?
too quickly, and that's a great learning point.
Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference.
When we did the festival two weeks ago now, we had some of the players from Whitney that turned around, and one of the chaps said, "We get to play rugby. That's brilliant. This is the best day ever." And then the conversation was, right, and at midday we're going to have hot dogs. What? We get to play rugby and we get hot dogs? This is the best day ever. I said, right. And then somebody said, and then at the end you're going to get a medal. What? We get to play rugby, we get to have hot dogs, and we get a medal. This is the best day ever. And then there was a very small question at the end where he turned around and he said, "Do we get to take the medals home?" Yes, you get to take the medals home as well. So just that level of excitement and the fun that you get to see, I probably didn't get an opportunity to appreciate it for the magic that it was during the festival. It was only after I stepped away on the Sunday afternoon that I got a chance.
The time to sink in.
Just to sink in, soak it up, and just really appreciate just how much fun and enjoyment and relaxation. The parents as well. It was such a relaxed atmosphere. We were really lucky. We had some glorious weather,
yes,
so that helped too.
We were, yes. And everyone, as I said in the special episode, it really felt like a family. Everyone is a family, and it was really good to observe because I was clearly not as busy as you were. That's why I got to enjoy it a bit more. But yeah, it's also, I just want to make a comment on this example you gave. It's as we grow up, we just lose this thing of valuing the little things in life, And I miss that so much, because with the example you gave, you can clearly see that rugby, a hot dog, a medal, and the fact that you get to take the medal home is just so exciting and so good. So it's really good. That's why being a child, we should enjoy it as much as we can.
Absolutely,
because then when we grow up, sometimes it sucks. And
Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference.
Right. So in what areas? So we talked about the lack of inclusive activities, for example, for neurodivergent children. In what areas of the system do you find that they are failed the most?
I hear the stories from the parents that are here every weekend, and we have some parents that travel from as far afield as Tame, which is a good 30 miles away, a good half an hour, 45-minute journey. And I suppose that's a good starting point, the fact that they can't find any signposting or any access to inclusive sports to give their children the opportunity to take part.
Yeah.
So that's the big area, I think, that I see from trying to run an inclusive sport. It's trying to spread the word. It's trying to provide enough signposting that people are aware that the opportunity is there. I think it's an area that is starting to get better, but there's that's
still a lot to do.
Still a lot to do. We're only at the bottom of the mountain. There's so much more we can do to climb it. But for me, signposting and just access, just awareness. And there's some fantastic charities and organisations out there that can support clubs to start that journey and understand what they need to do. Access Sport and Active Oxfordshire have been absolutely brilliant with their support, and they've really helped us through the last 12 months. It's a bit crazy to think we've only been doing it 12 months. It seems like a lifetime.
Feels longer.
But yeah, I mean, they've provided courses on disability inclusion and awareness in sports, which is fantastic, not just for us doing a neurodiverse group, but even as a youth coach, being able to be more aware of any type of disability and how to be more individually focused and support individual needs, I think is something that should be a national standard. I think all youth coaches would benefit from that sort of course, that sort of training. So yeah, we've been lucky. We've been able to action that, and we're trying to do more within the Oxfordshire RFU to drive that support through all the clubs. Because I've now stepped across on top of the role here, and I'm trying to support doing more to build a strategy on SEND inclusion for Oxfordshire.
Yeah, I had a chance to speak with Ben from Access Sport and Jess from Active Oxfordshire, and actually in our conversation with Ben, we were talking about your vision and how this all came together and how amazing it would be to pass the model across not only the rest of Oxfordshire but to other sports, and also maybe we are thinking too big for now, but what do you foresee that this is possible to go countrywide, for example, and to eventually apply this to other sports?
I see no reason why not. I think it's going to be different for different sports. Rugby's a horrible game, right?
I hear.
Yeah, I think John Peel may have mentioned that during and he's absolutely right. We don't have any contact with the rugby that we play. It's a non-contact. The sessions that we have, the games are touch rugby or tag rugby. But our season is typically September through to May, so we get the cold weather, we get the rain. Yeah. But let's look at the positives. We get to jump in muddy puddles. We get to have a warm drink afterwards. From a national perspective, I think there's more that needs to be done. And I think the more we can, if we can in a small way, by what we're trying to do here in Oxfordshire, to create a strategy for SEND delivery, over 12 months we've done, I think we've completely blown our expectations out of the water. 12 months ago there were two clubs, Whitney, who had been running for about 15 years, Wallingford, that were into their second year. We now have Gosford All Blacks. We have Matt Good at Banbury Rugby Club, that's invested and set up a SEND group there. They've been running about a month now, doing a marvellous job. So our next step of that strategy is to bring and combine the players that can take part and go to a mixed ability tournament.
Yep.
We don't have enough players typically to put a team out from each club. Our players are a lot younger, as you've seen. We've got a lot of 6, 7, 8, 9-year-olds. Whitney are early 20s, mid 20s. So we're going to combine them. We're going to give them an Oxfordshire top. And our strategy is to try and provide the engagement for the kids to recognise, any other kid playing any other sport can play for their county, can be recognised. So let's give them the same opportunity. Let them have the fun of being able to tell people that they got to wear an Oxfordshire top and got to go and take part. That's part of our strategy. I think the main nucleus of that will be to try and set a proper strategy with regards to how we support the clubs, the background, the admin, how we make sure that everybody finds it easier to get started. And again, we're starting to look at funding and sponsorship to support the clubs so that as a county we can provide some support for equipment and initial setup. So if there's any sponsors, anybody that wants to sponsor this area county, this sort of growth within the county, then by all means get in contact. We'd be happy to hear from anybody.
Darren, you just stole my line. I was going to say exactly that. So if you're happy to sponsor, just reach out to Darren, and that's a lot of exciting times to come ahead.
Lots to do. Yeah.
Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference.
So besides rugby, what else defines you as an individual?
Guinness. Guinness has defined me as an individual for many years. No, I think it's family. I think it's, it's having the opportunity outside rugby and what we do, because it's not just SEND rugby. I'm responsible for the youth section. We've got probably close to 200 kids, children, all the way up to under 18s. So it's trying to provide the support for everybody so that the kids can have an enjoyable time. Outside rugby, family time for me, and music. I'm an old school heavy metal head. So,
right.
Take me to a heavy metal festival or put some heavy metal on the radio and I'm quite happy.
And you'll be happy.
Yeah.
Great.
Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference.
So you have two boys. I guess there's some kind of Marvel or DC movies at home. Is there?
Yes. The boys don't necessarily have a big impact. Yeah. They will watch the movies, but it's not top of their agenda.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to know if you were a superhero, which one would you be, or if you had a superpower, which?
I don't know. I think with this journey, especially over the 12 months and going back to, what do we learn from it? I think if I was going to ask for a superpower, it would be that opportunity that, I think a lot of us through life, we worry and we fear what we don't know, or we maybe sometimes rue the opportunities that we maybe didn't take or try. So if my superpower, if I could give people a little bit of empowerment, a little bit of confidence to go, do you know what? Yeah, you've got this. Go and try it. If you try it and you don't like it, no harm done. But just have the opportunity to try it and find out.
And it doesn't need to be perfect. I really agree with that. You need to get out there. You need to fail to learn. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, you'll move on. It's not going to be the end of the world.
Yeah, there's a great phrase, and I can't remember it exactly. Fail fast I think it is.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, the more mistakes you make, there's a great educational paper about looking at the way adults problem solve and children problem solve.
Mm-hmm.
And children problem solve, say, trying to build something, if the task is to build something and get it as high as possible. They'll not sit like an adult and try and work out what the best way to do it is.
Yep.
They'll just start building, and if it falls, they'll build it a slightly different way. And if it falls, they'll learn from the mistake and they'll build it again. And I suppose that's luckily we haven't had too many failures or any falling of the blocks so far. But there's, you know, we still learn and go, well, that we could do better. Next week we'll change that and we'll do this instead. Yeah. So yeah,
that's the way to go.
Every day's a learning day.
Yes, that's very true.
Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference.
And last but not the least, don't cry, please. Because it's, I find this question quite emotional. If your heart had a voice, what would it tell us?
Oh, wow.
Come on, Darren, I sent you the questions for you to prepare.
I know, but, you know, that's such a different, there's so many different ways I can answer that.
It's difficult to have just one,
yeah,
isn't it?
I think it's just, you know, there's so much hard work that goes into the background to, you know, what you see take part every Sunday. There's loads of volunteers behind the scenes that get it to that stage. So I suppose if my heart had a voice is just recognising and saying thank you to all the people that helped us get here. You know, we all have journeys. We don't necessarily get to see past the tip of the iceberg for what's going on in every individual's background. So any single person that takes that opportunity to put their hand up and say, I want to help, and, you know, yeah, just thank you. You know, and there's so many fantastic people out there, you know, John Peel, Gareth Lewis. I've made more firm friends for life, I think, in the last 12 months. But that's also rugby. It's the community, it's the family, it's the fact that people will take that time to help and do things. And not necessarily always agree with you, tell you when you're doing things wrong. And that's good too, right? Because, you know, there's that safety that we talked about, you know, having trusted adults for the children. I think it's good for us as adults to have trusted adults, or even sometimes trusted children that will be very brutally honest and tell you what you've done wrong and what you need to change. So, I think that's where I would go. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm a hugger. I like hugging people. So I think if my heart had a voice, it would be, let me give you a hug. And,
yeah, hugs are great.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's proven that they help with mental health. So we should give more hugs to each other.
That's it. Yeah, definitely.
Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference.
Yeah.
Darren, thank you very much. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before we go?
There's probably countless things. Just, you know, the SEND sessions are free to all. I'm sure, Andrea, we can give you the details. You know, we've got a club in Banbury, we've got a club in Whitney, we've got a club in Wallingford, we've got Gosford. Our next step is to hopefully cover the area more widely. But if anybody out there that's listening that has an interest, kids from the age of 4 upwards, come down and try it for free. Come and take advantage of that opportunity. Yeah. I would hope that you won't be disappointed, and as a parent, not only will you see your children have a lot of fun, but you also have an opportunity to meet other parents and help your journey, your mental health, having that support network as well.
Which is very, very important.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Darren. I hope to catch up with you. We will be seeing each other and catching up anyway, but maybe in 1 year time, and you will be able to share all the exciting news of everything that happened with the SEND rugby sessions.
Well, let's see where our next 12 months takes us. It's certainly will be exciting. Thank you.
Good luck with all of that.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Neurodiverse Voices podcast, celebrating difference. This was the inspirational Darren, and all the information about the Send Rugby sessions on Sunday at Gosford All Blacks and other rugby clubs in Oxfordshire. The sessions should resume in September. If you'd like any further information, feel free to reach out to me on social media or by email. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Neurodiverse Voices podcast. I hope to have you on that side in 2 weeks, Saturday, 21st of September, for my episode with Dr. J.D. Lai and Emma Dewitt, researchers at the University of Oxford, who told me all about their autism character strengths research study. Remember to subscribe to be alerted of new episodes, and also follow on social media, Facebook, Instagram and TikTok at Neurodiverse Voices Podcast. And as usual, I leave you with a thought. Neurodiversity in sports reminds us that strength isn't just in the body, but in the unique ways our minds approach challenges, adapt and thrive. Bye.